Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we have a new brand to spotlight on the channel, and it's one that I think is going to be very well received by the community, as it really already has been. They've already released one knife, and there's two more in the works, so we're going to take a look at those two, and this is from Devo Knives, and what we have here is the Growler, and the dropping today, or not dropping, but pre-orders open today, Buzz. Now, these are two very different knives. We have more of a budget-based knife and a super premium knife. Well, premium in terms of price anyway. There's a significant difference in price, and we're going to go over all that. But before we get into all this, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I'll continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at these knives. We're going to go over some specs on both of them, some size comparisons with both of them, and then we're going to talk about each one of them individually. So let's start off here with the Growler, and what we have here is an overall length of 7.56 inches, a blade coming in at 3.07 inches, and a handle length at 4.49 inches. Blade material on this guy is 14C28N. It doesn't say it on this. This is a prototype, so it's not going to say it, but the production version will be coming with 14C28N. This guy is running on multi-row bearings, and I gotta say, it is stupid smooth. Incredibly smooth for the price this guy's coming in at, which we'll hit on in just a second. We have a micarta handle material, a weight coming in at 4 ounces. And now this is designed by the owners of Devo Knives, and that is none other than Colin Mason-Pierre and Kevin Johnson. Now, I don't know if Colin Mason-Pierre has any type of a figure handle status type thing on Instagram, but Kevin Johnson, a lot of you probably know him. He's Lefty EDC. I feel like he's a pretty well-known guy in the knife community. I met both of them at Blade Show West. They were both hella great dudes, and it was just a pleasure talking to them and getting to meet them and learn more about their brand. So they are the designers. I will link all their information below in the description of this video. And the price of this guy is a very nice $85. $85 for this guy, which is super reasonable, and it gets even better because this is a White Mountain Knives exclusive, which means you can use my code WSW10. I'm starting to get my codes confused. WSW10 at White Mountain Knives and save another 10% off. So the $85, take $8.50 off that, and that's your final price for this guy. So not bad at all. Now, this is manufactured by Shieldon Knives of China, and I have heard the name, but I've never handled any of their products. And I gotta say, if this is Shieldon's work, it is very impressive. Now, keep in mind, this knife has been passed around, so the scratches and all the nicks and work on the blade, obviously, ignore all that. This is going to look brand spanking new out of the box, but this has definitely had some nice hard love. And no surprise, it seems to have held up very well to that love it received. But this is just super, super smooth. And now we're going to move on over to the premium knife we have here today, which pre-orders are opening today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So keep that in mind, and of course, that'll all be linked below if you want to get in on this pretty fantastic drop. Because this one here, while I do love both of them, this design speaks to me just a little more, and we'll talk about differences as we go further into this. But what we have is an overall length of 7.5 inches, a blade of 3.3 inches, and the blade shape on this, obviously it is a Warncliffe, but they're kind of having some fun with the name. They're calling this the Buzz Cliff in honor of the name, the Buzz, the Devo Knives Buzz. So this is the Buzz Cliff. Pretty cool, a little unique. It's easy to remember, we'll put it that way. We have a handle length coming in at 4.2 inches, and blade material on this guy is going to be CPM 20CV. Now, the handle material on this is, as you can see, titanium, and there's going to be a few versions, which we'll go over in just a second. We have a weight coming in at 4 ounces, but that is going to change. I'm going to run through. There's going to be some significant changes on this that I don't think will really change the appearance of the knife, but it will change the overall function and potential feel of the knife, and we'll go over all that here in a second as well. As I said before, designed by Colin Mason-Pierre and Kevin Johnson of Lefty EDC, and the price on this guy is coming in at $299. Now, this is also manufactured by Bestech, which with Riot and Wii and Bestech and Kaiser, those are basically the big four. In my opinion, you can't go wrong with any of those four. And it seems that Bestech, there's a lot of people making runs through Bestech right now, and I think they're really giving Riot a run for their money. So that is definitely worth knowing, and I've handled a lot of OEM'd knives by Bestech, and they are pretty stinking awesome. I have no complaints. So definitely a premium manufacturer of this knife to go with the premium price. Now the versions, what we have here, there's going to be 4 different versions. There's going to be the Silver Fox version, which is stonewash titanium and a stonewash blade. As you can see, that is not this. Next up, we have the Blackout, which is obviously blacked out tie, black wash blade. And then you have the Reverse Tux. That's what this is. This one here is the Reverse Tux, and that is with a bead blast titanium handle and a black washed blade. And to be honest, I think this is my favorite version. I'm not always a huge fan of blackened blades, but I do like a good black wash, and this is a very nice black wash, and I love how it goes with the bead blasted titanium handle. This just looks really damn good. And lastly, you have the Tux version, the James Bond version with blackened tie and a satin blade. So 4 flavors. I think all of them are going to be pretty sweet and pretty desirable from everyone's different preferences throughout the community. And let's go into some changes now and talk about some changes with this knife. Then we'll get into everything else. The changes that are going to be happening to this. We have a changing of the clip spacing back here. As you can see, this is a little narrow. They're going to change this so it will fit a Lynch clip and a couple other OE or third-party manufacturers. So you'll have a lot more options. If you don't like the good old wire clip, you'll have an option to get different bent over deep carry clips for this, and maybe even some mill clips depending on if someone makes a mill clip with kind of the with the wire clip inset there. So you're going to have some options there. They're adding more lock bar access, which I have to say, I think right now the lock bar access is pretty decent. So the fact that they're going to be adding more is very good. There's going to be a deeper hollow grind on the satin versions. I think they played around. They made a couple prototypes of this, or maybe even a handful of prototypes, but they did some different grinds. And obviously this one is not quite as, or it is deep. It's not quite like the satin version. So they're going to make all the hollow grinds like this one, which is a nice deep hollow grind. You can feel it, and it gets deep rather quick, and it stays pretty deep. It's a very nice edge on this knife. They're also going to correct the plunge grind, which is going to be like this one. Obviously, the other versions had different plunge grinds. Take a look at everything, but this one here is a very nice plunge grind. Excellent. What you want to see that thickness go away real quick as you get up to the edge, and as you can see, they did a very good job of that on this one, and this is what you can expect on the production version, which is, yeah, that's a fantastic plunge grind there. Another change they're going to be making that I really like, all T8 hardware, which is fantastic. I wish we would get that on just about every knife. Sometimes on real small knives, sometimes I do kind of like the T6 hardware because it's just a little smaller screw, but especially on any knives this size, all T8 is 100% the way to go. They're going to add a lanyard spot back here on the back spacer. They're going to dial in the detent, and I will say the detent is just, it's a hair soft on this version, but again, keep in mind it's a prototype, but it's also strong enough to where, as you can see, I'm kind of like jumping in my voice when I talk because I'm shaking this pretty hard. The blade's not coming out. So the detent is still good enough, but if they're going to dial it in a little more and give it just a little more strength, I think that's going to perfect the middle finger flicking action on this knife. They're also going to make the body screws more flush with the handle, which it does need. As you can see, it's pretty obvious. The screws are sticking up more than they should be on this. I've called that out on a couple other production knives in the past. It's pretty annoying when they stick up noticeably beyond the body. So really nice to see that they're going to be insetting those screws more to be flush with the handle. They're also going to be adding some Vox-style jimping up here on the blade, which I'm assuming is going to be probably somewhere right around here is going to be my guess if it's Vox-style. I think everybody knows that Vox-style is about 3/4 of the way up the blade. So that's going to be very nice. Going to give you a good area to really put a finger on for those great draw cuts that you're going to get out of this Wharncliffe blade. And lastly, they're going to add more weight relief to this handle, which I thought was really impressive because if you look in here, there's already some nice deep pockets of weight relief all throughout this handle. So the fact that, and I really think this is a very nice weight as is. So if they're going to take a little more weight out of it, that's just going to be welcomed and make this knife even better. So that was quite a lot of changes. I hope you can stay up with that, but I think everyone is going to love the finished version of this model and the final production run. I love this version just as is, and seeing all those changes, it has me pretty excited. And I told Kevin if I hadn't just dropped $1,200 at Blade Show, I would be buying one of these. So yeah, I'm kind of just, I got to put a stranglehold on my expenses for a while because yeah, got in a little trouble, spent a little too much, but hey, that's okay. That's okay. It was worth it. Let's do some size comparisons with these guys and see just what we have here in terms of length. Sometimes just reading off the overall length isn't enough. Sometimes you got to see it with other knives, and we're going to do just that. We're going to pull out the Hogue K320 Nitron. As you can see, a little longer. And then what else do I got here? Got my PM2. That's always a good size comparison for a lot of people. As you can see, there's those two. Oh, wow, we're way off. I haven't started drinking yet today. This is just coffee that's making me put things off-centered like that. But there we go. As you can see, it lines up. And they're obviously considerably shorter than these two. And let's see here. We've got two more. Let's grab two more. What do I got here? Here's a good one. This will match up pretty well. This is the Kaiser T1. And let's pull out the ProTech Malibu. So there you go. I think these are much better in terms of size comparisons for overall length, at least. And even the handle, actually, the handle of the T1 is rather similar to the handle on the Buzz, just with the exception of that Buzz has that really nice choil there that I'm a big fan of. So there you go. There's your size comparisons. Now, let's go a little deeper into each one of these knives. We're actually already at 11 minutes. So, yeah, we'll wrap this up a little quicker. But when it comes to the Growler, first of all, these both have excellent ergos. They both kind of have that nice choil. This is contour titanium, so it feels really well in the hand compared to the flat micarta on the Growler. And I like the name of both of these, especially I love the name of the Growler, man. The Growler, that is just a fantastic name. But it feels really good in hand. Another change, there's also going to be a change to this one. What was that again? Oh, yes. They're going to have a reversible filler tab because this is going to be left or right carry. So they're going to have a filler tab on whatever side you're not going to be carrying the knife on, which is very nice for lefties and righties. And you know lefty EDC's got to be looking out for those lefties, right? There's no way they're probably going to have a right-hand only version ever from Devo knives. So you lefties, we're going to love this brand. But yes, filler tab, and then also this is going to be a captive pivot. As you can see right now, the pivot is kind of sideways because this has been disassembled and worked on. It's going to be a captive pivot, so this will be nice and straightened up and look even better. And I gotta say, that's a pretty cool pivot. You guys know I don't always love a flashy pivot, but I like the milling on that in the logo. That'll catch a little crud, but because of just the fine milling, but it does look nice. It does look pretty cool, and it goes really well with the black micarta, so that's pretty sweet. Like I said before, the ergos are good. Now the action is super smooth. Detent on this guy is perfect. In all honesty, it kind of reminds me of like a Kaiser detent, which, as you guys know, I think Kaiser is the best brand you can get under $100. So to be in that ballpark is very good. The cutout on this blade, I gotta admit, at first I didn't like it. I thought it was a little odd, but the more I used it, I figured out how to use it. The most important thing to remember with this cutout here, if you use your middle finger towards the bottom, you don't want to use the top of the cutout when you're middle finger flicking, because you can still do it, but it feels uncomfortable as you're kicking it out because the angles of the cutout kind of like pull and twist on your thumb. But if you use the bottom, it feels a lot better, and it works just as well, if not better. And there's no twisting or annoying feel on your thumb as you're kicking the blade out. So if you're middle finger flicking it, go towards the bottom of the cutout, works just fine. And what I really liked about this, which really surprised me, the thumb flip on this guy works excellent. It is one of the easiest blade cutouts to thumb flip, and that really surprised me because, one, I suck at thumb flipping blade cutouts, especially odd shapes like this, but it just works really well, and it's pretty darn effortless, especially as smooth as this knife is. Really big fan of the thumb flipping on this blade cutout, which I very rarely say. So that is a nice thing. And everything else about this knife is just pretty solid. It's going to come down to the aesthetics for everyone. If you like the lines and aesthetics of this knife, you're going to love this knife. Coming in under $80 with my WSW10 code from White Mountain Knives. And like I said before, keep in mind, this is an exclusive through White Mountain Knives. So I will link this below to White Mountain Knives so you can check that out. But yeah, just a very nice, solid offering. And I think it's going to be a good worker. It's going to be probably a pretty good slicer with that really high flat grind and 14C28N. Very solid offering on the Growler. Now, when you get into the buzz, this is where things definitely get kicked up a notch because you definitely feel like you're getting a more premium knife. Obviously, titanium and 20CV kind of just tells you in your mind, but when it comes to just the feel and the weight and the lines, you can tell this is meant to be a premium design, and I think Kevin and Colin really nailed that. I think this looks great. The aesthetics for me, for my personal preferences, are on point. Very good. The only knock I have on it, and it's not really a knock, but it's more of a personal preference thing for me, and I've said this plenty of times before, it's not going to be a surprise to anybody, but when it comes to front flippers, I always like to have a milled clip that is more flat all the way to the top because it gives me a really good base to grip on when I go to front flip this knife. Now, obviously, as you can see, I can still do this, and it is reach around approved, but you gotta pull pretty hard on this to do a successful reach around, no pun intended. But yeah, it's not the best for the reach around, but for a front flip, it is very good. It's a nice front flipper. I just wish I had a little more of a clip back there, a more higher clip. Maybe not even high, but just a clip that like stayed at the height of the bend of this clip here and went straight out. It would give me more to reach on to deploy that blade. Now, what I will say to contradict that is, as nice as the front flipper is, this middle finger flicking action is money. It is so good. Love this blade cutout because it gives you a nice wide range of the blade to kick out. And wherever you're flipping it, whether it be the very top, whoop, or the very bottom, I need to back up a little. I'm like all up in the front of this video, or the front of the camera. Either area, whether you're front, bottom, middle, doesn't matter. You can flip this blade out just fine, and the action is very, very good. You can tell that this one is a newer prototype. It hasn't been broken in quite like this, but it's going to be super, super smooth for you. Best Tech did a fantastic job with this, and Colin and Kevin did a fantastic job with the design of this. I'm a huge fan of this knife. I really, truly do like both of them, but just that blade shape on the buzz, that's really calling my name, and I love the lines on the handle. It just really pulls itself together, and it's a very pleasing design with excellent action, a great manufacturer, and premium materials. So for $299, obviously that's not cheap, but you're getting a good bang for your buck. So this is right up there. This competes with all the other knives in the $300 range for me. They're the $299 range. It's a solid, good offering, and if you like the aesthetics, again, coming from Best Tech, you know you're going to get a good you're going to get a good finished product. So, yeah, there's nothing holding me up on it other than the fact that your brother's broke right now. But other than that, this is a good one. I would highly recommend. Either one of these are excellent options. And keep an eye on Devo Knives. I'm excited to see what they come out with. I'm sure they got more designs in the works. And if they impress as much as these two, they're a brand you're definitely going to want to follow. So I'll have all that information linked below. Let me know what you guys think of these two knives, which one you prefer, which one you like better. Really hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.